Hey guys, welcome back to Ironside Ranch. If you hear the critters over here in the brush, that's some wild turkeys. I just saw them cresting the hill over there. It's kind of cool. So I love seeing the livestock here on the farm. And then back behind me, you can see we got the firing range coming up, and that is turning out really, really nicely. I did about 4 days of excavation out here. Got probably another 4 days with a bulldozer to get this where I want it. But we'll be teaching classes here real soon, probably in the springtime. We'll have classes coming out, and we're just really, really excited for that. So I used to teach some, and I've been wanting to get back in it for a long time, and just really haven't had the money to actually to get the excavation down the range. We've been putting it into so many other things, and now we finally do. So that'll be a lot of fun. I want to talk today about the diesel shortage. Anybody that's lived in America here in the last however year or longer, you know that we've dealt with some fuel shortages. We've dealt with some at the pumps. We're dealing with some now where the pump prices are outrageous. That's a whole separate discussion. And we've dealt with some fuel shortages here in the past where we've gone and you haven't been able to get diesel fuel. Part of that was due to, you had the hurricane in New Orleans, and that caused some issues down there. And we've had issues with pipelines being shut down. We're having issues with tanker drivers because, for one, that's a hazmat certification. So now, because Congress in their infinite wisdom made it to where felons can no longer drive tankers, for the life of me, I don't understand that. There's no better way to turn a felon back into a felon than taking away his ability to, or their ability, I shouldn't say his, taking away their ability to work and make money legitimately and honestly. That is just a horrible thing to do and unexcusable, especially because most of those suckers up on the hill are far worse than the convicts they were prohibiting from driving a tanker truck. As if that's a real issue that we're dealing with in this economy, is tanker trucks are miraculously driving into crowds of people and then detonating because they were driven by a felon. It just makes no logical sense. So anyways, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole too much more. Everybody knows that whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, you know that Congress sucks. And that's just the nature of the beast. Anyways, the fuel shortage is coming. We got probably more on the horizon here. We've got an increased demand in it. We've now, as we've come out of COVID lockdowns, we have an increased demand in pretty much everything. And so people are actually now having money to get construction projects done. So because the lumber prices have come down again. Now lumber prices will spike again. That's again different discussion, but lumber prices have come down. So we're going to see the real estate market coming back behind that, which means excavation, which means diesel fuel, which means trucking and shipping with diesel fuel. So there's going to be an increased demand of diesel fuel, and we already have a really high demand right now in diesel fuel. And then we have a reduced production. We're already tapping into our emergency reserves nationwide, which is again a whole separate discussion on the way the federal government is handling the diesel, the shipping of fuel, and suggesting that we all just drive electric vehicles. And so if you can't afford a $4 a gallon gas tank, then the best bet is to go buy $40,000 on an electric vehicle, as if that makes any sense. I think there's some people up there in Congress that don't know how to do very basic math. Not to mention that diesel, they currently do not have a replacement. Nobody to my knowledge makes an electric vehicle diesel semi truck. So again, whole other discussion. There is an electric tractor out there, which maybe if we can find somebody to let us test drive one, we can do a review on that. That'd be kind of fun. But anyways, we have all these things coming with the diesel fuel, and then we have this increased demand. So there's really only two options. The only option is if we cannot raise the price of the diesel fuel because the basic demand is going up, then we end up running the supply out. So it's a good time in your life right now to keep your tanks well above a half. I always, my wife and I, not great about it, but we always try to refill our tanks at a half. And sorry guys, I'm getting eat up by ants or gnats or whatever's out here. Whatever's getting my legs. Keeping your tanks well above half is certainly good advice right now. For small farms, you may have an on-farm diesel tank or an on-farm tank of some sort. If you're a small farm and you don't have one, highly advise you get one. They're very cheap and easy to set up, and in most states that aren't overly regulated on that stuff, and they will pay for themselves in a very short period of time by what you can save on diesel. But having the ability to move your machinery and your equipment is very important. Getting to work, very important. So we want to make sure that you top off your tanks. If you're not doing that, get in the habit of keeping those tanks at a half a tank or above, because we know that we're going to be seeing some issues. And the bottom line is this, some of these people, so some of y'all out there, you might work 20, 30, 40 miles away from where you actually live at. And if you run out of gas and you can't fill up because there's a diesel shortage, that's going to be a problem. That's not including the other problem that diesel shortage is going to have happen. Right now, we have trouble getting diesel on farm. I can't just call it and have it here. Now, luckily, because I'm not going on straight demand, so I'm not like running the tank down and then having to fill up the next day, or I'm going to be out. We fill it up when it gets down to about 2/3. We generally top it off. And so it doesn't matter to me if it takes them 3 or 4 weeks to get the fuel truck out here. But that's what you're dealing with right now. And it does matter if you don't have a storage tank. That matters to most people that don't have some type of farm or some land where they can have that set up. If you live in a subdivision specifically, that's pretty big, because about the most you can handle is a couple 5-gallon cans of gasoline. And so you're not really in the kind of capacity to be able to store much fuel. So for a lot of the businesses like mine, it's not going to be that big of an effect, other than the price of the fuel. And the price of the fuel, again, for most farmers that are my size, that 10% of farmers or less, the price of the fuel is a pretty negligible difference on our bottom line, just to be honest with you. Yeah, it's irritating, but from a business standpoint, it's negligible. It doesn't make that much difference per year. It makes a huge difference for the big farmers, the guys that are running 800,000 acres or 50,000 acres or 20,000 acres or whatever it is. Those guys are a little bit different animal, and it's going to make a little bit more of a difference to them. But that's not obviously where most of us are at, so it's not generally a problem for the majority of us. So bottom line is, guys, keep your tanks topped off. Things are getting continually worse. We're seeing more and more issues, and with our supply chain, that is just going to continue to have problems. We're seeing more issues with the government's ability to actually assess and treat those issues, because they seem to just want to exacerbate the problems. So we have a shipping issue, and they pass laws making it so where felons can't get a hazmat certification on their CDLs. I don't know what kind of sense that makes, but it is what it is. Especially since most of those suckers up at Congress are worse than the felons that they're prohibiting from owning that. Whole different discussion. Anyways, guys, that's really all I had. I wanted to talk about this article that I'd read about the diesel fuel shortage, and the bottom line is that we have an increased demand, we have a decreased supply, we have a bunch of things getting in the way of delivering the supply that we have. We are tapping into national oil reserves. We're closing down pipelines. We're having shipping issues. It's just a good time to make sure that you're keeping your tanks at half or above, that you're keeping those jerry cans that you have in your garage, keeping them topped off, keeping your stuff ready to go, because we just don't know. Don't leave it to the last minute. Don't run your tank to E and think I'll gas up when I leave work, because you may be walking 30 miles home, and that's a bigger issue. So anyways, guys, this went on a little bit longer than I wanted it to. Hope you guys like the range. I'm pretty excited about this. Pretty excited about getting this going, and enjoying seeing the turkeys walking around here. So stay safe out there, guys. We're going to talk. There's going to be a shortage coming on coffee here. I don't know if you haven't gone over to Economic Ninja's channel. He talked about coffee shortages months back, but there's some more information on that, so we're actually going to talk about that tomorrow. I'll do a video on coffee shortage. And then Amanda Lynn's got her real estate videos. We missed this last week because of Thanksgiving, so she'll have a real estate video coming out next, I think Thursday's our real estate day, so she'll have more on that next week on Thursday. And then we've got some farm videos coming up. We've had a couple cows bloat here lately. If you saw the post I made about that, we had a cow that bloated this morning. I had to wrestle down after it got up and started being fine. We had to get some medicine in it. But anyways, we're gonna do some videos on the cattle here coming up, showing you how to do the castration, and also doing the showing you all how to treat bloat and stuff like that. So I'm sorry, my neighbors pulled up, just distracted me. So anyways, guys, really appreciate y'all watching. Thanks again.